Dearest gentle viewer, Season 3 of Bridgerton is upon us, and the hype of Season 3 got me curious enough to check out the series, and I ended up watching the whole thing in a week or so. In other words, I was quite hooked. There are loads and loads of beautiful dresses, but I was kind of looking out for corsets and stuff like that, and there aren't that many on display. However, in Season 2, my eyes locked on a pair of stays worn by the character Kate Sharma, played by Simone Ashley. I've never made stays like these before, the kind of short variety, so I really wanted to give that a try, and I also really loved the colors and the embroidery and the overall style of this ensemble that she's wearing. I wasn't able to see every angle and every detail of this, so I'm just kind of filling in the blanks where I'm not entirely sure, but trying, of course, to make it as close to the original as possible. Red Threaded has this short stays pattern that is almost identical to these as far as I could tell. So I'm going to use that as a vantage point for these. And the fabric is satin, probably silk. I was not able to find silk in this color, so I had to opt for a synthetic variety, unfortunately, but it is what it is. The gossets on the stays has some embroidery, and also there is bias binding just throughout the whole thing. It looks like it's the same fabric as the outer material, so I'm just going to make that myself. I'm going to start off with the embroidery, and I've done a sketch. This is approximately how it looked like. I've sketched it up on the interfacing. I'm not entirely sure about the color. I have this color that I think is going to work. It's a slightly more pinkish purple. What I am unsure about is whether or not to combine it with this darker purple or this more blue color. And I also need white. So I'm going to use white, combine it with these or these. I should have had something in between, but I'm going to work with what I have. They look a bit like they're machine embroidered, maybe. So I don't think I'm going to be able to mimic that totally. So instead I'm going to try to do stitches that I feel make sense and will look good. I ended up going for the blue color just because I felt that the overall look was a bit more balanced with that. And this took a while. I had to make 4 of these, so I just watched Netflix and did all kinds of multitasking to get these ready. So all of these are done, the gossets with embroidery. So now all the pieces are cut in both the outer material and the coutil. So I'm going to start off by just basting. So I changed my mind a bit about the boning channels. I'm instead going to use 2 layers of coutil over the whole thing. Maybe not the straps, but everything else. So basically this will be the outer shell. And then I have made this lining that's just sort of going to be on the inside of that. But yeah, I'm just going to baste around these slits, put in the gossets, and then start assembling. So now the front panel is basically done. One thing is, and I did notice this as I went along, but I just decided to go with it, and that is that the embroidery on these is bigger than in the series. I'm quite happy with this, so I'm just going to try to sew the ends so that I can then sandwich as we go along. And after all the panels were assembled, I just made boning channels in the back, in the sides, and everywhere else where needed. And this is how it ended up fitting. After that, I just cut strips of bias binding from the fabric. So I've just flipped it over and I'm gonna just slip stitch it to this side. Now, one thing that seems to be a recurring theme here is that I tend to break my fingers with the needles, and I've done that again and left traces of blood on the garment. It's sort of like creepy, but and maybe some would find it a bit like disturbing, but I'm strangely used to it by now. So if you see traces of blood, I apologize, but that is why. So I've taken a look at the eyelets and the lacing up, and I'm gonna do hand sewn eyelets. So I've just done a test here. It's not like super smooth, but it looks okay. In addition to that, I've looked at the weights laced up, and I wasn't able to find a clip that shows the whole thing. So I just found the bottom two eyelets. It's slightly different than what I've done before. And what it looks like is this, where it comes out at the bottom and then it sort of goes through the back opening. So I discovered that for the front little strap, it's not actually one hole. I think there are two holes like this, so that you sort of loop in and out and then tie it. I think I'll do the same for the top strap just to make it look a bit more cohesive. Now it's time for the boning, and I have done a bit already just to test things. For the sides of the cups, I've just used some plastic boning because I don't want that to be too flat. But for the rest, I'll be using flat steel boning, and I've just put in for the back here. The thing is, I'm not sure how to treat the tips yet. I think maybe I can use these spiral steel tips for that. So here is what the tips look like when you have these caps on. It's not ideal. These tend to fall off easily, so I actually ended up just filing the tips, and I put on some sunglasses because I do not have any protective goggles. So I just filed them down like this and just put them in. So while waiting for some supplies to finish the stays, I'm just gonna make the bloomers that she's wearing. I have a pattern, this one. The front of the bloomers has a sort of yoke like this, but not this wide and not this pronounced. So I'm gonna do like an in-between thing where I'm gonna use mainly this pattern, but sort of give it more of a point in the front. And this pattern has closure on both sides, whereas in the show, it's just in one side. So just on the left side. So I'm just slightly modifying it. I have made a mock-up. They have like a slight point at the front. So I'm just going to use the same fabric that I made the stays using and try to get some lace trim. And I ended up using French seams for this just to kind of be fancy. Look enormous on camera. I have made a slit in the side where I'm gonna have a button, but I need to put on the waistband, so I'm gonna do that next. So I have like a straight one in the back and a more angled one for the front. And I actually ended up redoing the whole waistband to make the waistband a bit wider, and also because doing it on the bias just did not work with this fabric. I tried to use a lot of different varieties of lacing for this. The pictures kind of look like some sort of shoelacing. I couldn't find the right color though, so I ended up making rouleau straps for this. I'm not sure if they can really handle the strain of being used as lacing, but for now I'm gonna give that a try and we'll see how long it lasts. After a lot of waiting, I also got the front boning, the thicker ones, and I also got the plasti dip that I used for the tips. It's the first time I've tried it and it seems to be working really well. Just beware of the fumes and making sure the room is well ventilated. And now, gentle viewers, this content creator is proud to present the final reveal. So that was my first Bridgerton inspired corset, or my first Bridgerton inspired project. And I had a lot of fun with this. I think there is potential for more Bridgerton inspired projects. So if you have any input on that, please let me know below. And also subscribing, liking, commenting, and all that stuff really helps out. So if you like the content, consider doing that. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.